Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to Reality Realness with three S's. I'm your host here, Chantele Francis. And with me for the first time on the channel is Rachna. How are you today, Rachna?
I'm good. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. And I'm very excited that were you were excited to potentially want to come and speak to me about the
Mhm.
Real Housewives of New Jersey, which just started season 12, I believe, right? Am I crazy? The
No,
12?
I
I
think
think
it's
it's 12.
season 12.
So what is your history with the Housewives? Can we hear your origin story here and why you wanted to talk to me about this season?
Yeah, so I watched The Housewives probably in the earlier seasons. I watched New York, New Jersey, and a little bit of Atlanta. And at the time, I lived in a house with a television and had a lot of time on my hands. And I really enjoyed what I watched, but then I felt like watching Atlanta, watching like women of color basically fight all the time really wasn't entertaining to me. It stopped being entertaining to me, and so I stopped watching. But I would like hear about things about new franchises, Jen Shaw getting arrested, things like that. Because I still consume a lot of celebrity and pop culture news, and I write about television, and I post and Instagram and stuff about TV all the time. So it's still always on my periphery. And then I got COVID in December, and our mutual friend Eleanor suggested I watch some of the Housewives. So I started with Salt Lake City because it was only 2 seasons, so I didn't feel like 800
Daunting.
yeah, 800 episodes to catch up on. And then I was in like episode 1, I was hooked. So I've watched Salt Lake City, and I'm also watching OC and now New Jersey as well.
So fun. You kind of have a similar path to me.
Mhm.
I watched the very first, the OC, very in the beginning. I thought it was fascinating because at that time, I believe The Hills was on, and it
Yeah.
might have been a backdoor pilot from The Hills, or it was just it started at the same time. And so it was kind of the same area, the same type of people. I can't remember if there was any crossover people at the time, but I love The Hills and all that whole, the OC and Laguna Beach. Like I was
Yeah.
watching all of that. And so I got into the Real Housewives of Orange County in the very beginning. And then I think I saw maybe the first season of a few others. So I saw the first few season actually of Beverly Hills, saw the first season of maybe New Jersey and New York. And then I think I mentioned to you the table flipping moment on New Jersey, which was super like riveting television.
Mhm.
I felt like the producers were like, "Oh my God, we have a gold mine here." And I was speaking to another man, this guy Sandman, and he thinks that that was the defining moment within reality TV. Was now producers wanted to recreate and manufacture those moments. And I watch reality TV to hopefully believe that there's some reality going on and seeing these people's lives and how they would really react. And so when it started to seem like there was manufactured fights, just like you're saying, fighting of people of color, especially when I was watching Atlanta, which I also watched the first few seasons of, I just didn't feel good watching it at that time. And so I kind of
Mhm.
put it aside, and then 10 years go by and now there's so many seasons to catch up on. And I just kind of thought of myself as, I guess I don't watch the Housewives franchise. But then we got COVID times where everybody's staying at home and I have so much free time. And I've always enjoyed reality TV. So I started doing rewatches or reminding myself of all the seasons. So I started with Beverly Hills and I got caught up on Beverly Hills, or at least the last couple seasons. And I even did Melbourne, and then Miami just came out, and the Salt Lake City started, and I was able to just be on top of that. And I was like, this is a little bit more interesting than I remember.
Yeah.
Maybe I can dip my toe back into there again. So I definitely just recently watched the season 11 of New Jersey. And so when you were interested in talking about season 12 and it just started, I was like, check. I'm into it. I would like to get into this franchise again. So, thank you for giving me the opportunity to start talking about these wild women of New Jersey.
Well, thank you for including me in this.
Absolutely. All right, so we have a friend in the chat. Hi, Dijon. Teresa's my favorite on New Jersey. So we could just start off with that. Do you have a favorite housewife of New Jersey?
I don't quite yet. I'm not like, because I remember watching like the early seasons and I chose not to catch up. I chose to just jump into this new season. And I I find that I'm like not connected to any one of the women yet.
Mhm.
And I'm kind of wondering like where's Teresa? Like I know she's there, but she's not like she hasn't really been the center of any new drama. She's not saying that much. She seems to be playing a peacekeeper so far. I think Jennifer is intriguing, but I know that she's nobody's favorite.
Right. I'm thinking for myself, episode 1 of season 12, I really liked Dolores. This most recent episode, I like her still, but she's a little bit shady. So I don't know.
Maybe.
I'll always like Teresa. I just also recently watched the Real Housewives Girls Trip. So have you started that yet?
No, I haven't,
You
but I
got so many
will.
treats to watch. You're so lucky. You can catch up on like that and Vanderpump Rule. Wait, you're caught up in Vanderpump Rules or no?
Not yet, no.
What about Summer House?
Yes, Summer House I've watched this season. I haven't watched previous seasons.
Okay, Winter House.
No.
Okay, you're so lucky.
There's a
I
lot.
like
Yes.
would love to have all this reality TV to get caught up on because it's
Yeah.
just so easy to watch. So I do love Teresa. She was great on the Real Housewives Girls Trip. I like her. I like seeing her with her girls and her
Mhm.
family. I think that you even mentioned to me, you sent me a message saying that like you're very surprised that her daughter Gia specifically is turned out so well considering what she has gone through in her life or in the last 5 years.
Yeah, I think she's my favorite actually. I know she's not a housewife, but she should be.
I really like her, and I love that all her girls seem to have her kind of raspy tone, that kind of vocal fry. I'm like, it's cute to me.
Yeah.
So the season long preview of Real Housewives New Jersey looks wild. I was watching, I was like, wow, there's a lot to come, and this is going to be probably a very exciting season. Did it pique your interest as well?
I don't think I've seen it actually.
So, like right at the beginning of the episode, it kind of went through like
Oh,
what's to come of the
yeah.
season.
Well, I think because a lot of it is like refers to previous season drama. And
That's true.
so
You just
I
bumped
wasn't
over it.
like catching anything. So I'm just gonna like wait and see what happens with this
Okay.
one. Yeah.
It looks pretty wild. So I'm actually looking forward to covering it. So we do get our first look at Jennifer and her bandages. So there's a lot of gossip and rumors going on around her bandages, that she went to Turkey to get a nose job and a chin job because her husband, who is a plastic surgeon, felt as though she was not the best patient. So we've seen her nose before the season started. What were you thinking when you saw her with the bandages on her face?
Um, I mean, I'm like, I just feel like all of the housewives on every franchise, it's almost like a rite of passage. At some point, they get something done. And so I wasn't like surprised, but I was just like, wow, that's like a lot to show on camera. Like, that's really vulnerable. Or I don't know, maybe not. Um, but like I've read that she undid the chin implant thing, and I read that she regrets it. And I don't know, I kind of feel I kind of feel compassionate for her, because or anybody who feels like they need to adjust their face.
Yeah, that's exactly like how I'm feeling, because I thought that she was a beautiful woman before, having any sort of plastic surgery, and then seeing what was done, I was like, that's what you felt like you needed to do to change your looks. Of course, anybody is allowed to do whatever they want with their
Yeah.
face, but I just have accepted what I look like, and so that's kind of what it hints to me sometimes, is that people just don't accept what they look like, and sometimes that's a little bit sad for me. But
I mean,
she's allowed to do whatever she wants. Go ahead.
yeah, I think that like I think it's actually quite easy for us to say that, you know, we've accepted how we look, but if we were around people who were constantly getting fillers and like going to the plastic surgeon was like a regular thing, that
Normalized.
every yeah, if it was normalized, then I wonder if I would also feel the need to go and get fillers, or, you know, like get my
Well,
nose done too. I don't know. Like,
100, you know what, you're 100% right. I have some, like in Vancouver where I lived a little bit. I feel as though plastic surgery is actually a sign of wealth, and
yeah,
so being able to do that, getting any fillers, getting your lips done, whatever it is, it shows that you have disposable income that you're able to spend to look a certain way. So I do also think it's a bit of a status symbol as well. So
yeah,
I agree with you there,
yeah.
absolutely. Hi, Sophie. Thank you for joining us. Hi, ladies. I can't believe it took so long to cover the Real Housewives franchise. Well, I just didn't have anybody that was willing to talk about these women with me. So now that I do, we will hopefully be covering a lot more. So the
Me
zodiac signs
too.
of the women. So Teresa's a Taurus. Okay. Melissa's
Mhm.
an Aries. Definitely makes sense to me. Margaret's an Aries. Makes sense. Also, Dolores is a Capricorn. Yep, I can see that. Jennifer's also an Aries. Interesting. Jackie is a Libra. Okay, this is good to know, because we do find that Dolores kind of takes control of things, and she's very kind of headstrong and seemingly very loyal. The fact that Melissa and Margaret are kind of siding together against Jennifer, which I think is kind of interesting. That they're all the same zodiac sign, so they're fiery. That they're kind of want it their way. So that actually makes a lot of sense to me. Teresa being a Taurus, I mean, she loves things beautiful. She loves food. She loves Taurus is ruled by Venus, so I think she likes things that are beautiful. And Jackie being a Libra, also ruled by Taurus, but likes things to be balanced. She doesn't like to have fighting happen. She's all about relationships. So far on the surface level, I would say that they very much act like their signs. So thank you. So you should cover the Real House of New York next. Yeah, well, because it's going to start soon. So yes, I definitely would like to cover it. Now that we could cover it from the very beginning. Yay! Are you guys going to cover Top Chef? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sophie,
Oh,
this
that's a jump.
is too far. I mean, I watch Top Chef. I've seen every season. I don't know if I have somebody that would do it permanently. Do you know when it starts? My big brother Jeff looks like it's going to be in trouble next. No, 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 no. I still have all my players, but maybe I'll lose one. If you want to catch up on New Jersey's Housewives, every season is probably on Peacock. Okay, good to know, Sophie. Thank you very much. So, continuing on with the premiere episode of season 12, we see Teresa with her girls. They're wanting to eat their sandwiches by the pool. It was raining outside, but they do have like a pretty truthful moment. It seems as though there was some words that were said by Teresa's brother Joe that her girls really didn't want to get over, and it was speaking about their father, which is Teresa's ex-husband, the person who was definitely a catalyst in whatever happened to make her have to go to jail. So what did you think about the family dynamics here, and how all the daughters were speaking about the situation?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's unfortunate that um like I get the brother's desire to defend Teresa, but I don't think it should come at the cost of speaking ill of his niece's dad. Like that to me says more about him than like their dad. And I feel like Gia is 100%, like I'm fully on board with Gia's response. Like she's sad and hurt, and you know, she's in a way lost her dad, and now she's losing her uncle, who she also seems to be really close to. And I think the uncle is like, I think he's really um like he's old school, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and he needs to get over it and move on. And
Well, and Where is like the compassion for his
Yeah,
nieces? Like,
exactly.
I understand, like, well, before any children were born, when maybe Teresa was just dating their father, like, and him having problems with them or whatever, and they getting in fights and scraps and not liking her boyfriend. That's one thing. But once it becomes the father of somebody, it's a
Yeah,
little bit. There has to be a little bit of respect, regardless of how much you dislike what they may have done. They
yeah,
still are going to have love for their father and still going to want to support him in certain capacities. They can see
mhm.
that he's done some wrongdoings, but to negatively talk about their father in a way that's so disrespectful, I think that definitely think that Joe is in the wrong here.
Yeah, and I just don't like him. Like, I've always only seen 2 episodes, but I don't like him. You know, there's not yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of him so far. I appreciate him being a very family man, and kind of being old school Italian. I can appreciate
Mhm.
that, but I don't appreciate how he retaliates. He's just quite it's not my style of fighting. For instance, last
Mhm.
season, he was getting in a fight with Melissa, his wife, because she's like not home as much as he would like
Yeah,
her to be, and like,
yeah,
he does not making him food when he wants it. Like,
yeah,
and I like a little bit of this old school mentality, but like, let wife go and have a business. Like,
yeah,
it shouldn't affect you that much. You should be supporting her. So
exactly,
I'm kind of
exactly.
in the middle with his old school mentality.
Yeah.
Teresa also mentioned that they're going to be moving in with Louis and his son that lives at home still, and then he has another son that's away for college.
Mhm.
Do you think that this is too soon, considering it's only been about 1 year into their relationship?
Yeah, I think that, like, that's 8 people who are adjusting their lives for a 1-year-long relationship. It seems like a lot, but also on Watch What Happens Live with Teresa, Gia was there as a bartender, and she said that it's going well. So who am I to speculate?
I love the line that was being drawn in the sand with what I don't remember which daughter, because there's three of the housewives' daughters. Her name is Gabriella, so I'm like,
Oh,
what are
really?
the from what I noticed? I don't think it was Gabriella that said this, but she was upset that they weren't going to be able to lie naked at the pool because there's
Right.
going to be men at the house, and I was like, that's the line. I'm like, that's not so bad.
I mean, I feel like that's a big adjustment to
Oh,
go with the
so you
living
think
with.
it was the line that should be drawn there?
Well, I mean, I don't know what the line is, but I feel like if I feel like it is a big adjustment to go from living with all women to 3 when, the other son is back from school. 3 men who you have only known for a year. Like, yeah, you're probably not gonna wanna lie around naked by
Well,
the
no,
pool.
no.
But, they each have a bedroom. They have 6 acres. Like, they have 4 dogs. Like, it seems like they're doing fine.
Yeah, no, I mean, I actually agree what you're saying here. Like, I was just kind of thinking, like, I can't lie around naked, but no, I'm not able to be free as a woman where and
Yeah.
comfortable with only having other women around me, I think is actually what they're saying. So I
But also
agree with
in
both.
relation to the problems of the world, like, not being able to lie by the pool naked is really not a big deal.
No, you have a very big home. You are
Yeah.
definitely very much fine. So the next scene we see is Dolores, and I think Dolores's son is really hot.
I can see
Frankie.
that. I can see why you would think
Um,
that.
he has like a bit of a charm to him. I love that he's kind of a mama's boy, and like that we learned that he's been mentored a bit by Teresa's husband or fiance,
Yeah.
um, Louis, who we've spoken of. He thinks that Louis is a really good guy, and I think this is all just a build up to what we know is coming on later in the episode and going to be a major storyline for this season, or at least the beginning half of the season. I love though that Dolores' son is, he just graduated college. Her daughter just graduated veterinary school. So
Mhm.
I love that they've both completed schooling. I think that's amazing. But they're coming home to live with mom just to save up money before I guess they start their next phase of their life. And her home has not been finished being renovated because their dad has another woman and he has a performance that he is involved in. So what do you think about Frank, the father?
Well, we only see him for that phone call, that FaceTime call, and then I guess lots of talk about the comedy show. But I mean, I think I feel like if I was like ending a marriage and my children were adults, I probably wouldn't want my ex involved in the construction of my new house anyway. So that whole dynamic for me is like foreign.
Yeah, okay.
But I also like that they're
Still close.
yeah, like there's no there's like the animosity isn't so that they can't like get along. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's
in the
weird.
in the last season they were pretty buddy, like it's like it seems like they weren't able to get together as in a relationship, but they're both really committed to being parents to their kids still, and
Yeah,
there's no awkwardness that I've noticed between them. So I actually really like that she can call him out and tease him in front of the kids, and like I do like their banter.
Yeah, that I like too. I like that he's like still involved in that way. Yeah.
Sophie's welcoming you to the channel. Yes, welcome, Rachna. Okay, so did you take a look at the show that they're going to be doing? I was like, what's this review? I believe it's called An Evening of Music, Storytelling, and Comedy. And it's happening in Atlantic City. Yeah. I was trying to find it, but I didn't look that hard, but I didn't find it. Did you manage to maybe take a look at that? Yeah. All right, I'll see if I can find it for next episode to see if I can find either some excerpts or like some clips that we don't see in the show, because what are they doing? The house husbands of New Jersey.
Yeah, it kind of sounds like I think it's funny, but I feel like it'll just be not my kind of comedy,
I don't think so. Well, from the clips we've seen, and it wasn't funny at all. So
like I think Real Housewives of Salt Lake City's husbands would be more my cup of tea, just based on who those husbands are versus the New Jersey husbands.
I could see that a little bit, but I don't know. Maybe all the husbands are kind of duds though, compared to like their female counterparts. So, maybe I'd rather see the housewives do this, but I'll take a look and see if I can find some funny clips to share with you guys next week. So, what is this Louis video? I know that you were asking me if you should watch it. Did you find it? Did you watch it? Okay, well, I also found it, and I thought that we could also watch it. I've seen it, but we can just share it here as well. It's it's a topic to talk about for a moment. I'm assuming you can see it.
Yeah.
Okay, and just kidding. And let me know if you can hear it.
I'm coming home to see you, to get engaged or bring our family together and finally get married and have a life together. I've been here for a week. These are my brothers. These are my bond. These are my brothers. This is my coach, Kevin. These are guys that are very unfamiliar in my life. I love you, and I love our family together. I love our children, and I hope you receive this message well. Thank you. I love you. Thank you for your time. I hope that this hits your heart well and you understand where I'm coming from, and I hope to come home to you and be able to have a chance and opportunity to talk to you and share with you my experience in my life.
You got to talk from the heart. You go back to your fucking brain.
She doesn't want to fucking hear your brain. I love you. I'm sorry I made mistakes and held myself back and held my truth inside. You better fucking feel her pain. And worried about other people around me. Feel her acknowledgement. Pain. I feel your pain. I'm sorry I put you through pain. Thank you for being patient with me and seeing the man that I didn't see that you see and you saw in me. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to fix this. I'm going to come home and show you and prove to you the man, the best version of myself that I am right now. She heard that before. What are you going to do? I'm going to take action as soon as I get home. You're saying beautiful words. What are you going to do? I'm going to propose to you and get married, if that's okay with you. I love you.
Is that the comedy show?
No, it's not the comedy show. Now, I didn't manage to find the actual, like, what this relationship retreat is, or male retreat, or did you find out any more information as to what he was experiencing?
So I heard them talk about it. I don't know if it's episode 1 or 2.
Sure.
But the brief thing that I heard was that these men go to these retreats and they beat up each other to release tension rather than taking it out on their wives. Which
it's a very male way to seemingly deal with problems.
Yeah, it's like it's very macho, but it kind of affirms a lot about, Melissa's husband, Teresa's ex, like it's of that culture. So yeah, I guess it's all in sync. It's all aligned.
Yes. And so I definitely believe in healing and self-love and, going to different retreats or workshops that's going to help, change your life and better your self in partnership. Mm-hmm. I totally respect anybody that's willing to do something, recognize that something isn't working and choosing to do something for themselves to change themselves and their relationship. So I think it's pretty amazing that he's willing to do it. This particular workshop might not be my particular cup of tea. It doesn't necessarily seem like it will be helpful in a way that I think would be successful. But I feel really bad that it's surfacing and people are kind of making fun of him for it,
I mean, I feel like based on what we heard, at Teresa's pool party, I thought it was like, this is kind of mild. I was expecting something explosive and something that would really expose something.
Yes.
But all it is him trying to get back with, I guess at the time, whoever his wife was or partner was at the time, obviously the mother of his children. And so, like, yeah, it's cheesy and it's like hard to watch this guy like from the, side being like, tell her what you want, tell her what you're going to do. She's heard that before. Like, it's unfortunate that he needed that kind of coaching, but also it's kind of nice that he had that kind of support from somebody who was really on his side. And, I kind of feel more bad for whoever that video was directed at,
Mm-hmm.
But it's in the past, I assume, because he's now with Teresa. And yeah, I don't understand why it was such a topic of like a point of drama for the show. Like, I don't understand why it even got on the show.
I think it's because it's something that people didn't understand. Like, why are the men just standing there posed behind them with shirtless? And like, well, he's like, he looks like he's been through it a bit. And so they probably don't understand. And it doesn't seem like it's how any of these women deal with relationship and conflict. So I think it's the unknown part of it that they're just like, what is this? This is so weird and wild. Like, I originally thought it was a Freemason ceremony or something.
Oh, because that would have been drama. See, that
right?
That's
what I thought. I was like, oh my gosh, is it gonna, because like they make people do, from what I heard, wild things, like lying naked on the floor, chanting. Like, it's like, that's where I thought we were going here. And then this was like, oh, no, this is fine. This is okay. This is just a male retreat that we just don't get because we're not of that mindset.
Yeah.
Imagine if it was Freemasonry. Woo!
Yeah, that would have been really good. Like good television, I mean.
Very good television, but like I don't think that the Freemasons would let that happen. So,
Oh,
or
but
like come on, be on TV.
there is a Netflix docuseries about the Freemasons, and I watched the first few episodes, and it is very good. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm actually going to watch that. So I guest host on Rob as a podcast, and there is a kind of stream that they have that's nothing but Netflix. And so I'm
Oh,
always trying to find a show that like I could talk to them about. And like I find one, but somebody's already like decided to talk about that. So I'm gonna pose this one, which could be a lot of fun because I love a good cult.
yeah,
Love a good cult. Oh, so exciting. So I personally didn't really find this video that offensive. And what I gathered from it was he was willing to do something that a lot of people wouldn't do to try to get back with his partner. So I think that's a good sign that he will go the extra distance, that he will try anything, that he won't stop if it's something that to rectify any wrong. So I thought it was good for his character personally that he would go this length.
Yeah, the way the women were talking about it was like, oh, this means that he's going to cheat on her, or this means that he's going to be a bad partner, or this exposes him as being violent with women. But to me, it was the opposite. I was just like, he's trying, you know, it might not be the way I would want my partner to try, but it is him trying. And that, it shows that, you know, like it shows his character positively.
I thought so.
Yeah.
Just my opinion, our opinion anyways. So we see Margaret and Jackie discussing the video, and they also begin to start talking about Jen, saying that she is all smoke and mirrors and foggy diamonds. So this is pretty much your, other than seeing her with the bandages on and the gossip in the tabloids, we'll say, what did you think about Jen and how these women were kind of portraying Jen before you really got to meet her on the show?
Yeah, that's like a good question. I honestly, it didn't make me think that much of Jen. I was more thinking of who are these bitches? Like, like I really don't like Margaret, and I don't know why, but is it because she's boring and so she like creates drama around her by trying to expose other people? I don't know. I just really don't like Margaret. And this is not Jen's first season, is it? Like she was on last season.
Correct. She's at least on last season. These are the only 2 seasons I've seen recently.
Yeah. So like before I saw Jen, I honestly hadn't thought much of her. And I think part of it is like being really focused on the moment, because I was just trying to process everything as it was happening, because I was, you know,
it's new information.
Yeah, exactly. But then when I saw Jen with her family, it seemed really normal. I mean, even the bandages part seemed normal. I thought it was really funny when her daughter was like, oh, you look like, you know, Halloween costume for Botched. Like, I thought that was hilarious. Her kid, like, she also seems really like adjusted. And yeah.
So I am agreeing with you here as well, because like obviously the only time I watched the first season, it was just like pure entertainment. I wasn't watching to take any notes or whatnot.
Yeah.
And so I agree with you that these first 2 episodes, it kind of made Margaret unlikable for me. And I never really cared either way last season when I was watching, but seeing her, it seems like she's trying to make a storyline out of Jennifer's pain, and as a way to teach a lesson to Jennifer for not like speaking perfectly all the time about everybody. And it just was kind of a tit for tat, but in a way that I didn't appreciate at all. And so I agree with you. After these first 2 episodes, I'm thumbs down on Margaret.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I just find her to be uninteresting.
Yeah. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
So we see Melissa and Joe going out for dinner with Tiki Barber and his they're married now, I believe, Tracy.
Yeah.
I loved seeing them like with another couple. I love seeing like I think that's the first black man I've seen on the show.
Mhm.
That's yeah, I think it's actually the only one. Um, and I've seen him before. Obviously, he's super famous. He's an ex NFL player. He does commentary now for sports networks. And so I love seeing them having a relationship with people outside of the kind of toxic friends and family that they have.
Mhm.
Um, so what did you think though about Tracy having like some understanding about things going on in like the Real Housewives world, with the fact that there was a lot of lies and smear tactics that were going on when she was getting together with Tiki? Did you hear anything about these stories? Like, were you familiar with them as a couple?
No, I
Any
had no
clue?
idea who either of them was before this episode. And like, wasn't that how long ago was that? Wasn't that like 10 years ago?
Yeah, I think it was at least
Yeah.
10 years ago.
So yeah, I had no idea who they were before watching this first episode. But for a minute, I was like, oh, maybe she's like a voice of reason on the
She
show.
is so far.
But then she also brought up the video about Louis when they were on that double date. And I was
Mhm.
just like, really? Like, did you
Well,
have to say that? Like, is it necessary to talk about that video as for you as well? But then I'm also like, how much of this is the producer's plan?
that's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, I feel as though the producers wanted her to bring it up, or it to be a topic of discussion.
Yeah.
And then that's why they were able to bring in a little bit of their story and backstory into it, which is like, it's a little bit salacious. So I think that it was like an opportunity to have that door be open, so people be like, oh, like what happened with them, and then it just makes them a little bit more of an interesting couple, we'll say, we're bringing to the surface. So I think it was just an opportunity to share more of their story.
Yeah.
Which I did find interesting. Like,
yeah.
Sorry, I like salacious television.
Well, what part of it is interesting to you?
I mean, just seeing,
Like
scandalous? Like they've had to live through scandal, live through like, what goes on in the world. That's kind of what I watched the Real Housewives for, is being like, oh my God, I can't, that's what really happened. That's what really went on. And I don't know, just having a kind of a peekaboo inside of a life that I don't live. I find it interesting and entertaining, as long as nobody's actually getting hurt. And I think that they've overcome anything that any hurts that they might have experienced 10 years ago. And I appreciate seeing the other side of that coin too.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
So after that little double date, we do see Jennifer with Bill and their family. They talk about her nose being done in Turkey. And then we start seeing news report or stuff about everybody hating on Jennifer. Now, did you go and do a deep dive of any sort of like all the tweets and stuff like that? Did you take a look? I didn't personally.
I did not know. No.
Can you gather what the problem is? Because like from the little lines that were highlighted, I didn't care.
So at first I was kind of like, it's clear that nobody likes her, but they're trying to be polite, sort of, but I don't really know why nobody likes her. But I think based on can I talk about the second episode here? Like,
sure.
Like, I think she has done a bit of meddling in the past, which is even why Margaret has been the way she has been. So I feel like that's why people don't like her. But I feel like in 4 episodes, I'll start looking for those tweets.
Right. You'll go back and be like, okay.
I want to see how things transpire on the show a little bit before I get the backstory. Like I want to judge her based on the show first.
Well, and this is the thing too, that I always have to kind of bring into my thought process is that they all want to have a storyline in order for them to be relevant on the season, brought back in future seasons.
Exactly.
Some of them have a season, they get paid for the whole season. Some of them get paid per episode. And so I think making themselves relevant, it feels to me, as because you've already said that Margaret's kind of boring, that they are latching their housewives' success on the storyline of tearing down Jennifer. That's what it seems like to me. And it's a little bit distasteful, in my opinion.
Is it though?
Well, because it's coming from Margaret, I'm not a fan. So that's probably why. If it was anybody else, I'd probably be like, it's fine. But
I mean, I think the particular thing that has been revealed in public, like, I think it is very distasteful, but it's also very entertaining.
We are going to get more into that, absolutely. So Teresa and is still not really having a good relationship with her brother because of some of the things that have been said, but she did call him and get mad at him for apparently on that Atlantic City tour that they were, or stage show that they were doing. Somebody heckled him in the audience saying, like, what do you think about Louise's video? And his joke response was, oh, it makes me miss his Teresa's ex-husband more.
Yeah.
And so what do you think about this as a response? I don't think it's that bad, personally.
Like what he said, like his response?
Because Louis is so upset by this and is mad at Joe for how he responded to the video comment.
I mean, I think it's funny.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. It wasn't that bad. I didn't think so.
Like, the whole thing is kind of dumb because, like, what even is the video? Like, you miss your ex brother-in-law because the new guy is trying to be apologetic about and wants to get his ex back from however many years ago that video is. Like, yeah, I feel like it's a non-issue. Like, even Teresa was like, it's a non-issue.
Yes. I mean, I think Louis is just embarrassed that it's come out and people are not respecting him and they think it's something different than it actually was. Like, they're talking about, there's like, oh, they're running around naked. Like, and I'm like, I don't think they're naked. I think that they have their shirts off because they're probably wrestling.
They're at the beach or something. Yeah.
At the beach. Like, I've definitely seen weirder things go on at a retreat. So, like, it's not that.
Mary Cosby's church. Like,
there you go. There you go. So Joe does not want to go to Teresa's pool party. Not going to a pool party is usually not a good thing. So as Teresa's setting up, we see Dolores show up. I love that, like, the ladies are just right away doing shots of tequila. I'm like, yes. That's one thing that I really appreciate about the new Housewives of New Jersey, that they're not so self-conscious of being wasted on camera. I find that some of the other franchises are a little bit more
tasteful.
Maybe. Salt Lake, they get pretty loose. But I do enjoy just getting to see people like actually do shots and like not being so like precious about their image. So I like that a little bit. So Dolores is there first. They do some shots. And Joe and Melissa do decide to go. Apparently, Teresa did apologize to Joe, and so he felt comfortable showing up at the party. So I don't know if you caught this from Teresa, but she's talking to Tracy and asking Tracy if she likes pineapple. So do you know about what Teresa believes about pineapple? And I think pineapple and peaches and eating them.
Yeah, something about making your, like, you know, pussy taste nice. Sorry if I can't say that on camera.
I mean,
yeah, I feel like it's been made into a big thing with her.
Which is, I think it's great branding. So if she ever wants to start some like pineapple drink or something like that, or like, you know, make your pussy taste nice drink. she might have a market for it. So maybe that's what she's building up. We know that, you know, we see Bethany and her skinny girl margarita. Like, this is going to be something in line with that. Maybe. But Tracy's like, you know it. So I like that she seems to fit in and get along, but she might be too normal to actually be a regular housewife.
Yeah.
So Dolores brings up Joe's response at the comedy show. to Teresa, and Teresa just kind of plays dumb. And like Teresa playing dumb, it's like, Teresa, you know what's going on, what she's talking about, but she just pretends like she knows nothing at all is going on. But then Margaret shows up, and Margaret wants Louis to address the video. It's none of her business. Who cares about the video? Why does he need to address it? What do you think? Would you think, if you were Teresa, do you think that Louis needs to have a press conference about the video?
Absolutely not. Like, again, if you watch the video, it's not that salacious. It's so old. It's like, it doesn't expose anything really. So I'm just kind of like, what does Margaret want? Like, what does Margaret expect? She wants him to say, I was at a men's retreat and I was trying to get my wife back. Like,
figure it out.
Is she trying to, what, were they at like a sex orgy, like a men's orgy? Like, does she think that that's where it's going? Like, no, that's not where it's going at all. And you can tell that's not where it's going if you watch the video. So like, what does Margaret want? And yeah, why bring it up at this pool party? Like,
well, and why is it her business?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
Like, for the person that's pointing so many fingers right now at Jen, like, why is she bringing up something that is obviously personal to Louis and the woman that or the person that he's speaking to? Like, they didn't ask to be part of the show and have like this whole thing spilled out and him to reveal what was going on in their relationship at the time. Like, they're clearly not together anymore. So let's have maybe even the respect of the person that he was speaking to in the relationship to maybe not bring it up on camera. So Margaret, another little nick on her name for me.
Exactly.
So then Jen does decide to show up at this party, and she reveals the unbandaged new nose, and people were horrible about, oh my God, I can't look at it. Oh my God, it's awful. It's awful. It's awful. It's awful. And like, it didn't look great. Absolutely. But like,
but why do they care?
It's so mean. Like, if somebody had a nose job that they spend tens of thousands of dollars on, like, would you be like, oh my God, I can't look at her, she's unrecognizable, like right in front of her? Like, it's just so mean.
Yeah, I really feel like they're reaching for the drama here. Like, towards the end of that, like at the pool party, I can feel the tension building, but I'm just like, this is not actual drama. Not even for a Real Housewives show. It doesn't even qualify. It just had to be commented on. And
no real person would act like that if somebody that they knew came in with a nose job that was botched.
Yeah, but Jennifer obviously agreed to cameras coming into her home and filming her with bandages on, and she's talked about it quite publicly. So I almost feel like she constructed that narrative, and now she says she regrets it. So yeah, I don't know.
So Jen's feeling uncomfortable. She's talking to Teresa about not feeling comfortable around the other women, but she does want to speak to Jackie. So Jackie kind of comes over, and then Margaret walks over, and it becomes a little argument of being like honest, and I'm not being honest, and you're not honest, and I'm not honest, and you're not honest about what's going on in your life, and I'm not. And I'm just like, what's these honesty police here? Like,
okay, but that's every Housewives episode in every franchise, in every season. Like,
speak your truth.
Basically, they're all fighting about who said what lie about the other person.
It's true. It's really true. I think that they all need to stay off of social media. I mean, we wouldn't have a show, but
we wouldn't be so invested. Like, I wouldn't be watching the show and watch what happens live. We wouldn't be here talking about it if there was no backstory or context in the world. We want all of that.
It's true. It's just so juvenile, though. You know what I mean? I guess that's why we enjoy it, is because I just wouldn't like. There's so many causes that I see or like statements on the internet that I want to comment on. I'm just like, No, I'm not getting into that. No, I'll choose not to. And so this could be a decision not to respond or not to, go deeper into the drama. But these women don't seem to have that filter. So, like, I
No.
guess we want it. We do.
And they have the incentive to go into the drama.
Right. It gives them a storyline next season. So apparently, according to Margaret, Bill had an affair, and everyone knows it, with the office manager. And Jen needed to clarify it wasn't the office manager, it was our pharmaceutical rep. Get your story straight. And so I liked actually Jen's response.
Yeah.
She leaves. I think she leaves. Did she leave? No. Well, that was the end of the episode. But like, I liked her response. Like, you're gonna come for me. You're gonna expose my family and my life and my husband, and do this all on TV, and you don't even get the facts straight. Like, I'd be good, girl. Bye.
Yeah.
Get your facts straight.
Yeah, I feel like Jennifer really does her homework. So yeah, she's like, you want to accuse me, at least do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely. So the next episode, it kind of, I think it just came right. Did it come right back into that scene?
Yeah, it continues. Yeah, exactly.
So we do see Dolores talking with a level-headed response, I felt, to Jennifer. And she's just kind of like, I do feel like Dolores, even though you could see that she can hold her own going toe-to-toe with any of these women, she does seem to be a little bit of the voice of reason so far here.
Mm-hmm.
And just kind of speaking with Jennifer and about Jennifer. But Jennifer wants to leave. She goes, gets her husband. They decide to leave. They don't want to say goodbye to Teresa. Like, she was just going to leave. Which I think is also another choice, because that these women are not, they don't like the disrespect of just leaving without saying bye and all that stuff. So it was definitely a choice, because Bill was like, are you sure you do not want to say goodbye to Teresa? She's like, no, let's go. Like, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that was a move.
So we see Gia at the pool party confronting Joe. I personally thought that Gia handled it very well. I thought that how she was speaking to him was, yes, it's her uncle, but she is a 21-year-old woman, and you are speaking about her father in a way that's derogatory and unkind. And I thought that how she spoke to him, especially when you have Mr. Joe, which she calls him, yelling at a child, I thought she held herself pretty well. And the fact that he feels disrespected by Gia standing up for herself and her husband, or her father and her sisters, like, it made me not like Joe this episode.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like, I feel like I don't like him at all. And this really kind of like concretized that. Like, she is an adult and she can speak up for herself, and this idea that she has to respect him and not talk back to him just because he's, an older man in the family, he's her uncle, and he's, like he said, I've loved you since you were I saw you the first minute you were born, or whatever nonsense. Like, okay, and that makes it okay for you to talk shit about her dad, like,
and then yell at me about it?
Yeah, I just feel like, actually, because you're her uncle and you're older, you should be more compassionate and see where she's coming from and not talk shit about her dad.
Exactly.
So I feel like,
reasonable.
Yeah, and it was another moment. I feel like Gia really won that moment. And I was like, okay, she's like actually kind of smart and well-adjusted. And it's almost like she knows when to walk away, but she's also brave enough to go back to the conversation and fix it. And then she was really vulnerable. Like, she was like, I haven't seen you in 6 months. Like, I don't ever want that to happen.
Absolutely. So Gia, she talks to Joe, and then he gets mad, and she's like, oh, Mr. Joe, you're always creating a scene, which is true. He always creates a big scene. He's very dramatic.
But I mean, obviously that's a family trait. Like,
fair. Yeah, they're not subtle about like how they feel about things.
No, they're like explosive.
And so he leaves, and then she goes and find him, and then she walks away again, and she comes back, and she did it a few times. I did cry a little bit with like, there was, because there's a little bit of the love that she has for her uncle when she did say like, I don't, you're family, you're my uncle, I love you, I never want to go 6 months fighting with you. That's not something that I want. I do think that it was just like a vulnerable moment that I
Yeah.
connected with. And so
Absolutely.
I got a little
Yep.
teary-eyed.
I can
Little
see that.
teary-eyed.
I can
Not
see
for
that.
Joe, for Gia.
For Gia, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I will have to say that later on this episode, Jennifer's nose is starting to look a little bit better. I do find, so maybe it was just like how it was still setting and like it hasn't
Mhm.
like, you
Yeah.
know, gone to where it's supposed to. But I feel like it's just too small for her face now. Like it just like this little like button nose like in this big face. And I'm just like, she doesn't look bad, I don't think. I think she looks pretty still. But I kind of think that she looked better before. Maybe just do a little contouring with some makeup and she could have had the nose that she wanted, right? She didn't need to necessarily do the surgery. I feel like her nose is too small now.
Yeah.
Coming from someone that has a big nose, like a real nose.
Yeah.
A pronounced nose. Have you tried the cute nose filter on Instagram?
No.
It's very bizarre because it looks cute, but like it's just so small. I'll send it to you so you can try it out.
Okay. Is it like the Jennifer effect?
I've never done the Jennifer type effect, but I would assume it would be something like that. I know there's like a Kylie filter. This one's like cute nose. And I could see people taking this cute nose to a plastic surgeon and be like, this is the nose that I want. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like that kind of thing, trying to get them to look like they do with filters.
Interesting.
So Dolores, Teresa, and Jennifer are talking in the kitchen. Is this oh yeah, who's having the party? Is this still true? No, whose party is this with the ice cream truck?
It's Jennifer's for her daughter.
Oh, for her daughter. Yeah, her daughter.
Pool party.
So, I love the pool party. I love that Jennifer's kids are offering them water and like they're just seem like very respectful.
Also, who has a pool like that in their house?
I don't know. I mean, I know a lot of people with pools, but I've never seen just like a regular person's pool that humongous.
With the slides and all of it. Just all of it.
All of it. I mean, in like my dad lives in Vegas and some of them have actually pretty nice pools.
I believe that.
In the States, you can get like here in Toronto, the pools are definitely never going to look like that, but you can buy a lot bigger pieces of land in the States. And so you can get a huge pool. I remember just like, this was a long time ago now, probably like 30 or 40 years ago, but I remember that the Las Vegas was the biggest growing market for housing because they wanted people to start coming there to live and build families. And so a 5,000 square foot house, which is humongous, was only about $400,000 back then. And so it's cheaper in the States is basically what I'm saying. So in New Jersey, I'm sure that they have very expensive homes, but like we would never be able to get that kind of pool. And
not that expensive.
Toronto. Not in Toronto.
Exactly.
It'd be like $20 million.
Yeah.
It's very expensive. But I love that they had an ice cream truck there. Have you experienced like the ice cream truck coming down the street and you hear the music and you run like, Mom, can I get some money for the ice cream truck?
Oh yeah.
It reminded me of my youth and I thought it was fun to have it at a party.
Yeah, I thought that was a really nice touch.
Like really so Jen does speak about the infidelity, and I actually think how she handled it is bigger person than me, because what she said was she was pregnant and she was about to give birth to, I believe it was her son or one of her sons, and she found out about it. She asked him about it. She asked him if he loved her. He said no. She asked her, did he want to break up with her? He said no. And they had the baby and they kind of moved forward from it. Yeah. I don't think I could do that, but it seemed to have worked for them. So where do you sit with how she dealt with this infidelity from many years ago?
I mean, it sounds like an ideal scenario that she was able to just move on from it that fast. But, you know, she had a baby, so maybe she was just preoccupied with the baby and just never thought about it again. Maybe he was like, here's a few, you know, a big diamond ring, like a new diamond ring, like who knows, like maybe he threw some money at her, who knows like what he did to like reassure her or make her recommit to the marriage or whatever. So I'm sure there's something that she's not telling, but I'm also just like, whatever, like every marriage has its secrets.
100%. And I don't think I could have dealt with it this way, but it seems to
Yeah.
have been working for them in their relationship and for their family, their children. And I
Yeah.
think that, it doesn't seem like what had happened is detrimental to their family, because we do see
Exactly.
sometimes when you see some infidelities that happen and the one and other party doesn't get over it and they're fighting with each other and they're not happy in their relationship, and that's what the kids see, but they're staying together for the kids.
Yeah.
Like that, I don't think so. But from how it seems, their relationship, they do seem loving, they do seem kind to each other, they do seem to be a nice loving parental unit for their kids growing up. And so I think it's okay that they chose this route, because I don't think that they're being toxic and having a bad impression for their children. So
Yeah.
I appreciated how they've been handling it, and we'll get into it a little bit more. But I think it is quite rude, and that Margaret thinks that it's okay to bring this up, and really could hurt their children. I do think so.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, well, why is she bringing it up now? Like, if she's known about it for a while, why is she bringing it up now? And yeah, why bring it
in retaliation? That's why
yeah,
it's
but
kind of
like,
gross.
yeah, that's true. Like, why bring it up at all? I mean, I get the whole thing about everyone thinks she's got this perfect life, and obviously nobody has a perfect life, but there's like another housewife who has a similar, who had at the beginning of her season a similar, I don't know, should I just name it like Noella?
Oh.
She portrayed like a pretty splendid facade at the beginning of the season, and we all know how that's going now. So I feel like Noella, I always got the sense that something was really off about her situation. But with Jennifer, I don't. I do buy the fact that she has a very happy family. Her kids seem happy. She seems like a good mom. She seems happy with her husband. She seems happy with her dad. There seems to be some issues with her parents, but they also talk about, like, there's a conversation with her and her mom that seems really like they're not brushing everything under the carpet. So I'm kind of buying what she's selling, to be honest.
I'm totally with you, and I like the comparison with Noella. Everybody that's watching this will watch all the Housewives, so
Okay.
you're not spoiling anything here. So Noella, she definitely, to me, comes across as someone that's disingenuous, that she doesn't that she isn't being truthful, that she isn't as rich as she is appearing to be, that she hasn't lived this like upper crust lifestyle, silver spooner. Like it all seems to me like that it's phony. And so I do not have that feeling for Jennifer, which is kind of the picture that Margaret seems to be painting of her, is that she's like phony and living this phony life. I don't, it's not comparable for me. Like, I think that Noella gives me that feeling, and Jennifer does not give me that feeling. She gives me a feeling of somebody that's willing to work on her relationship, that's a little bit nosy, that might say too much, and not realizing that what she's saying is going to maybe get her into some trouble.
I don't know if Jennifer is smart enough to cause trouble. Like, I don't know that she's smart enough to be like, oh, if I plant this rumor, or, I think she's just nosy. And I believe what she said even later in the episode. I'm sure we'll get there. Mm-hmm. I'll leave it till we get there, actually.
Okay, we're almost there. So Jackie, we see her with her kids are going to sleepaway camp.
That was cute.
It was cute having all of her family there. Her brother's talking about how when he went to sleepaway camp. I feel like I do believe that they have a Jewish background. So I'm sure that one of the camps that they went to, like, I grew up with a lot of Jewish friends. And so I nearly went to Jewish camp, which was, I nearly went to Northland B'nai B'rith. And so I feel like it must have been maybe a Jewish camp that they were going to, which like it just, for me, it just felt like I feel like I know what kind of camp they're going to be going to, because like all my friends did that. So normal,
Yeah.
and very North American. It's
Yeah.
or like northern North America, you know, like
Yeah.
Toronto, New York, New
Yeah.
Jersey kind of
Yeah.
area. Camp seemed to be a thing. I don't was camp a thing in California? Like I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask my
I don't
sisters never
know.
went to camp, I don't think.
I don't think so. I don't know.
Because they live in Vegas. And we before that, my dad they were born both in Vegas. So I just don't think that their camp was a thing.
I think it's like an
The
East Coast
Northeast?
thing. Yeah, like because our ability to do outdoor things is limited, like
That's true.
summery things like hiking and stuff is a little bit more limited. So especially when you live in a city.
Yeah. So I guess it's just like a East Coast thing is
Yeah.
camp. I'm gonna actually do a little research and see if people I know from like British Columbia went to camp, you know?
Yeah.
Because they have the kind of different weather, but it's not as not as winter summer as we have over here.
Yeah.
It's something I'm gonna actually take a look at. I definitely love the throwback pic of Jackie, seeing her in probably middle school, which was really
That was cute.
hilarious.
Yeah.
I love seeing people's old school photos.
That was like very of a moment, a very particular moment.
Well, I feel like we're around the same age, and like
Yeah,
I feel like I have a
absolutely.
picture at that same time frame that looks quite similar. So we see Margaret at the store, and with Dolores, and Margaret is just going on about how it seems as though Jennifer is such a hypocrite and like she can't be saying these things when she has things that are going on in her life. I don't know if I agree with that sentiment. I kind of also think that people should take the higher ground and be like, well, I'm not going to expose that just because she might have said something out of turn. Like, I don't know. I don't think I would expose it. Would you?
No, absolutely not. No.
Right? Like, I'm trying to think if I've done things like this. I've definitely, like, when I was young, like probably high school, maybe early 20s, got in trouble for maybe gossiping. So that's kind of what is happening here. Jen is getting in trouble for gossiping, and then Margaret's coming out with the jugular with like her family skeletons.
Yeah, but like, okay, let's go back to what was Jennifer gossiping about? Erica's husband cheating? Is that what we're talking about here?
I don't even know. I didn't look deep into the tweets.
Yeah.
Sophie, are you still here? Do you know like can you paraphrase the tweets for me? Like I didn't go back and read them. It was just like one line circled in the
I haven't I haven't read the tweets, but from what I understand, Margaret is pissed because, well, two things. One, there's that scene where Jennifer accuses Margaret of being surrounded by cheaters and therefore she herself is a cheater. So that's one thing. So she's like, Jennifer's calling Margaret out. The other thing is that a couple of the women were spreading rumors about Erica's husband having cheated on her. And in that process, in that time, Jennifer did her own research to be like, did this actually happen?
Right. Who's Erica?
Sorry, not Erica, Jackie. I don't know why
you think
Erica.
Probably Blondie from House.
Yes, that's exactly why. So apparently, so there was a rumor that Jackie's husband cheated on her, which is actually not true. He didn't. But if a friend of mine heard a rumor that I was being cheated on, I would want them to tell me, but I would also want them to bring some evidence. So I feel like there would be a responsibility for my friend to do a little bit of research, which is kind of what Jennifer did. She was doing a little bit of research, which, yeah, it's snoopy. And I mean, she was honest about it. She's like, I'm just really curious. I was being nosy, which is funny when
I'm being like bad nosy jobby.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, just to interject, I have to say, I was agreeing with Jennifer wholeheartedly because I've definitely heard things and I'm like, okay, before I bring this up, let me go see the validity of this statement. So
Yeah.
I would be on like LinkedIn and I'd find this person and I'd go and like find like them on Facebook and
Yeah.
I'd go and look through their pictures and see like if there's any sort of links that I could find. So I would be doing some nosy detective work to see the validity of this statement before I hurt my friend, especially since usually the friend is going to shoot the messenger. The friend's always going to be mad at the
Yep.
person that told him about this. So if I were going to bring this to my friend, I would want it to have evidence to back it up so I wouldn't potentially lose a friendship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
So I'm with Jennifer here for this particular, you know, grievance.
And then, you know, Jackie was able to say, you know, like it all came out and Jackie was able to say, it's a rumor, it's not true. And she could back it up. Like there was evidence to show that it wasn't true. And that only evidence wasn't just like her husband saying, I didn't cheat on you. And then like the other part about Jennifer calling Margaret out, like that happened in a previous season. I didn't watch it. And because I already don't like Margaret, I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah. And do you know what though? Okay, this could be bad, but I'm wondering if Margaret is mad at whatever Jen said because there is an element of truth to it. Because from what I've seen so far of Margaret, I could see her to be a person that would be willing to do things to benefit her life, whether the person was available or not. Was that PC enough?
You mean like somebody who's willing to cheat? Like,
correct.
She has admitted to being a cheater. So like personally for me, I don't care. Like I'm not going to judge a person who cheats. Like if you cheat, you cheat. That's your business. I don't care. So I don't personally care that Margaret has cheated or is cheater or whatever, or was raised around cheaters. I don't care about that stuff. I just think that Margaret trying to hold Jennifer accountable for something is, or call her a hypocrite is like, it's a bit far-fetched for me.
Agreed. Totally agreed. And I think that it was really like, so when we see the next scene is going to be at Dolores's house party. Actually, maybe we should talk about what happened before that. Yeah. So what Margaret's saying though, she's kept it a secret, like this secret from her husband, like about her husband. Like she kept it because she was protecting her children. And that was something that Margaret doesn't seem to understand. And Jackie does seem to understand that, like, I was able to say to my children that this wasn't true, but Jennifer is not allowed to do that. And so where is that understanding for the children? She doesn't seem to have that. So Jennifer does invite Jackie over because they have made up. So they do have these conversations. And Jackie seems to be the most reasonable about, like, she was kind of, Teresa wasn't nice to her last season at all. And she took a lot of beatings from Teresa because Teresa kind of bullied in the sense that Jackie is a little bit meeker and Teresa can be a little bit more brash. And so, like, I feel like she really took advantage of that power dynamic and kind of made Jackie feel small. And so I'm team Jackie a little bit in this situation because I think that she's been able to come around and still have, you know, some compassion for Jen here and be like forgiving. So I'm liking Jackie more this season. Yeah, absolutely.
I like her too.
So Dolores' housewarming. And so everybody's there, and then Jennifer kind of comes in, but she doesn't want to come into the room. And like, she's kind of like, I understand you don't want to be attacked by 10 women, like yelling at you, like of something that like probably emotionally upsets you. Like, I can understand being hesitant.
Yeah, or you don't want to enter a room where you know all of these women are talking about this newfound potentially shameful, I mean, it's not shameful to her, but it is embarrassing, like, you know, that all these women are talking about the fact that her husband cheated on her.
And that's it's a valid opinion to have, and like a fear, like to walk into, like
Yeah.
I've had like, you know, a tiff with somebody and be like, oh my god, I haven't seen them since we had
Yeah.
a tiff. I'm like, oh, I don't know if I
Exactly.
want to, I don't know what it's going to go like, I don't know how it's going to be, I don't know if it's going to rehash things, like yeah, it makes sense to be hesitant. And so she wasn't crying, but they were just, Dolores like, oh, she came in crying. Jackie does go over to kind of talk to her. And then Margaret just like stomps over and joins without any compassion whatsoever.
Yeah, I thought that was really mean. I think they were like, don't cry. I think that was really mean. It's like, she's obviously hurting. Like, this is an old wound that's obviously been, like, it sounds like she hasn't told anybody. And now she's having to she's really feeling it. And you can see that. And I think they were kind of mean to her about it.
100%. And if they're saying that she doesn't, she's living a perfect life, and you know, she doesn't show how she's really feeling, well, she's showing how she's really feeling, and you guys aren't okay with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I thought Tracy was another time here a voice of reason, when she was saying that she was shocked that her friend Melissa, who she felt that she would support all the time, and Margaret couldn't see Jennifer's perspective and where Jennifer was coming from in this particular part of the situation, that if she does have this perfect facade life, maybe you bringing this up is actually tearing that down. Maybe that it is affecting their relationship. Maybe bringing this back up and like Jennifer being upset about it, maybe that it's affecting what's going on with her and Bill right now. Maybe she's not being as good of a mother because she's now like, there's a lot of things that could be coming out that that is bubbling to the surface, that is because Margaret wants to lash out at her,
and
retaliate.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that Tracy was pretty smart, at least with seeing, not necessarily blindly standing beside her friend, that she's still able to be rational and see that like maybe what Melissa's doing isn't 100% right. She's valid to be pissed off, valid to be hurt, but the ambush, I don't know. I'm just not that big of a fan of an ambush when you can tell that somebody's hurt.
Yeah, me too. But it feels like it's like a
rite of passage,
trademark. Yeah, like it's almost like a trademark Housewives move. Like,
I did think it was hilarious because you're saying at the beginning that you were surprised that Teresa hasn't been more of the focal point, but she does turn this back around to her, where she was like, oh, when I said that there was a rumor that was going around, I got crucified for it. And then it kind of brings up some of the old feelings with Jackie, and Jackie was like, I thought she was over it, and like it started to kind of be about that situation again.
We're not going back. I'm not going back. Yeah. Exactly.
But that was so Teresa kind of, you know, hey, I'm still here for the spotlight, which I didn't mind, because I actually think that it was also blown out of proportion. If I was like, if you were dating someone and be like, and I talked to our group of friends and being like, oh my God, like I heard from like my husband that he might be cheating. Like, I don't know what's going on here. Have you heard anything about this? Like, this is the nosy investigation stuff between friends.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't think that Teresa was that much in the wrong. How she reacted and how everybody reacted, I think, was where the wrong kind of came into play. But I don't think gossiping with your friend group about something is that bad. You kind of, it's just, it's kind of life, right? Like, you're like, oh, so how's so-and-so? Well, I heard that. Like, that's just how it goes. Like,
that's
it's your
just how it goes. Exactly. That's real life. And that's why we watch this show.
It's real life enhanced.
Yeah.
By tequila.
Yeah.
So that's basically the end of the episode. Jennifer does leave. We hear kind of some voiceovers of people saying that her world is falling apart, crumbling around her. I am wondering if there's more that's going to be going on with maybe the downfall of Jen's relationship and the life that she knows it right now. But I'm excited to see what's to come. Was there anything else that you wanted to say about this episode?
I kind of want, like, no, not specifically, but I kind of want Gia to get her own show. Like, I think she deserves
I wouldn't be surprised if that's something that's in the mix, because if you've
Yeah.
seen, so some of these backdoor pilots, they happen all the time. But Laguna Beach turned into The Hills.
Right.
The Hills turned into The City.
Spin-offs. Yeah.
We have Housewives of Beverly Hills turned into Vanderpump Rules,
Yeah.
and Vanderpump Dogs. Like, so it's definitely an opportunity, and I do feel like if Gia gets, she got quite a bit of airtime this episode, and she has those really beautiful eyes that like are quite captivating, and I can see people wanting to look at them on camera. She speaks very well. She's going away to college, so I'm wondering if that is an angle that they could take, or I'm not sure how filming schedule would be, but I think they know that Gia is gold, and they're probably looking for something that would be suitable for her. So maybe she has like a business idea or something.
There was a show on maybe about 10 years ago, like when the Housewives, in the first few years of the Housewives, that was about young, I think, Jewish women in New Jersey. Do you remember this show? Like a reality show?
I don't remember. I mean, I haven't watched my Unorthodox Life yet, but that's current.
It's nothing like that. I think it was on MTV, and it's basically about these young women. They're probably in their early 20s. They all live with their parents, and I think it's about like their dating lives and their friends.
In New York, and they're like, there's like an art gallery owner, and
none of them, I don't remember any of them being that established in their careers. Like, I don't even know if they were even like.
Wait, no, one of them, I'm sorry. One of them, their dad was an art gallery owner, and
I don't
worked at the gallery.
I don't know that. You know what? I'm gonna look it up. But all I'm saying is there's a lot. New Jersey has a lot to offer.
All right. I'll definitely see what you're talking about, and maybe have a little rewatch or go back and take a look at that. That sounds up my alley, of course. Well, Rachna, thank you so much for being here. This was definitely a treat, a delight to talk about the Housewives. Haven't had that opportunity to do so yet since I started this channel, so it's definitely been fun. Hopefully same time next week we can do the next episode. That would be super fun, just to lock in this time spot. It works perfectly for me right now, so I'm glad it works for you too.
Yeah.
So do you have anything coming up that you want to maybe share with anybody that might want to follow you, or if you need to plug anything, and now's your chance?
Not currently, but maybe in the future I will.
Sweet. Well, you guys know the drill for me over here. Please subscribe to the channel, like this video, follow on all socials, both myself and Rachna, just to support us and our community, the people that love watching reality TV, breaking it down for you, having these conversations in the chat. Definitely is a highlight of my days. So be a part of my highlights. That would be amazing. And we will be seeing you next week, Wednesday at 2.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for being in the chat. Thanks, Sophie and company. Bye.